Okay, hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Fearfully Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Summer, and today we have a very, very special guest, Miss Kristina Blake, aka K Blake Gets Fit on IG. Let's welcome her to the stage. I'm so happy she's here. I've been following Kristina for a couple of years now, and I had told her before that definitely what drew me to her content is her transparency. And obviously, us both being into fitness and then her perseverance, and it just keeps me coming back. So I just want you to give like a quick summary of like who you are and just a little brief summary of your content, because we do, the questions are really in depth. So you could just give like a brief summary of what your content is about.
Well, hey guys, Kristina or Blake or K Blake, depending on where you found me from. I give different names, but Kristina Blake is my name. I make wellness content just centered around one's truth and what they want for themselves, whether that be losing weight, gaining weight, focusing on your mental health. They're all aspects that I try to incorporate in the things that I post because I'm very passionate about, self-development and just being an overall better person and woman. So I create content in that space, primarily wellness and weight loss related. I have been on a wellness journey for a few years now, and whether I start or stop, I'm always very vocal online about what I'm doing. So I cultivated an audience as a result of that, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm excited to have a conversation with you today.
Nice. Okay, you talked about, you mentioned that your page is about wellness and, just one's truth, but specifically for weight loss. When did you decide that you wanted to share that particular part of your life, and what made you decide it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just made a post about this on my Instagram because I think it's important to kind of reintroduce yourself when you can to your audience online. So I know the date because I was just thinking about it, but 2019 is officially when it became important to me. I had gotten to a point where I remember to the day I had a pair of pants that were a size 26, and they were like wide leg pants. And I had always worn them for a while, but this particular day they were too tight. And I was like so embarrassed that they were too tight. And this concept of the number 26 was already bad enough. And now they didn't fit. It was just, I didn't like it. So at that time, I really started thinking about like, what is it that you want for yourself? Like for real, because you're still very young. And if you truly start to apply yourself, you can see change. And I literally had that conversation with myself in that moment. It's crazy. And I just sprung into action then. So 2020, the end of 2018, early 2019 is when I wanted to start making a shift.
Oh, nice. Mine was a twofold of when I had decided to start losing weight. One, I had found out I was pre-diabetic.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh my God, that's like a real disease that I'm about to have.
Yeah.
I was like, this is getting serious. And two, I looked pregnant. Like I looked in the mirror. I looked like how my followers know that I'm pregnant. I looked in the mirror and I look how I look now in my stomach. And I was like, oh my gosh, Summer, you are really big.
Yeah.
So yeah, mine was a physical realization too, that I was just like, oh my gosh, something has to give.
It's crazy how you look at yourself and you don't notice it until something just magically happens and it's like, dang, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm. And my friend has sent me we're both from Michigan. He had came to visit me, and he had sent me a picture of when he visited me the first time. And it was all out of love because I think he felt the same way, that he just didn't realize how big I had gotten. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is such a huge difference. Cause I didn't seem that big until I was. So
right. Until you were.
Overall, how much weight have you lost now?
So I have a few numbers to reference because there was a period where I was on a long stretch, and then I, like a lot of people, got very lax and was like, I'm good. So I put on weight and then I started again. So when I initially started in 2019, I had lost about 75 pounds. That took about a year and a half to 2 years for me to do. But by like April of 2020, I was just like tired. It's like I've been grinding for a year and a half. I just want a break. So I remember to the month because it was my birthday. I took a little vacation, and I didn't do nothing after the vacation. Okay, I came home and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna relax. I need a minute. I've been grinding for a year and a half at this point. I'm gonna just sit down for a couple months. Now, you don't realize it until you get out of it, but it's the moment you relinquish that discipline and you just like, it's whatever. You start doing all these things that you weren't doing before that contributed to you losing the weight, keeping the weight off, all that stuff. The moment you stop, you start creeping into those old habits, and you don't have anybody or even yourself to be like, pause. We said we were only going to do this. Let's reel it back in. Nobody's doing that for you. So that turned into a year. And in a year, I gained 60 pounds back. So all that work that I did that I was extremely proud of was just kind of gone. Like, I had the experience, but here I was in clothing that was too tight again. And I hadn't experienced that. So fast forward to November of 2021, I was like, okay, you let enough time go by and it's still never too late. Like, it's never too late. That's a life lesson. But in that moment, it's like, if you get back on it, you could get there again. We don't know how long it's going to take, but you can get there. So had that conversation with myself and called a friend of mine who has become my trainer, and we've been 5 months rolling. So in that 5 month window, I've lost about 30 pounds.
Nice. So you halfway there to what you had lost before.
Correct. My trainer, though, my trainer told me that she envisioned that I was going to be like high hundreds, like the 190s, 180 range. I never saw that number ever, like, but she said she had that vision. So we're going to see. I honestly want to see what I look like at 220 pounds and evaluate from there, because as my body changes, I'm like peeping my proportions, and I don't know what I'm going to look like at 200 pounds. So we're going to see. But yeah, 30 pounds.
You can absolutely get there. I mean, it'll be hard, but you can absolutely do it. What was I going to ask you when you were talking? I was just going to say that it really is a lifelong journey, because you were talking about, like, as soon as you start to relax and you fall off back into those bad habits, like health and fitness, you don't always have to be in a weight loss mindset, but being conscious of it, of your weight, like, that's lifelong.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Unless you're just someone who I just naturally don't really have an appetite, and I naturally don't really eat a lot. So you don't really need to be conscious, because, you're never really gaining like that. But for those of us who, be eating, it's like a constant, like, you have to keep in mind, like, keep a check on it. And that's, the reality is it's lifelong.
Yeah, it is. And it's kind of like everyone who has done something successfully with relation to their weight understands that. It's like you're forever changed, and there are pros, there are considered cons, and the cons are different to each person, but it's like there are things that you just are going to have to do if you want to maintain this lifestyle. It's just like if somebody wanted to be debt free, they do all this work to pay off their debt. They're not going to go back out there and start charging. Like, they're going to, be conscious about their spending habits and ensuring that they're keeping that money and not having to go back into debt. So it's like, it is a lifelong thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure so, and things change in a lifetime. So what's ideal for me now could potentially change. But I definitely feel like being cautious of it is a forever thing.
It really is. And that was a good correlation about the being debt free. It's like there's just certain things you just have to stick through.
You
Period.
have to. Like, you can't never let it get like that ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're continuing to use the debt analogy, it's like, you did all that work. You did all that work. You sacrificed, you cut your spending habits, you gave up things you loved to just go back out here and mess with that credit, or, just
Right.
You did not do that to just say, forget it. So
right. You had mentioned your how you have a trainer now. So what does your diet look like right now? Or what has it been in this second weight loss journey?
Yeah, so it's funny. If you ask my trainer, she will tell you that she is a low carb coach, fitness coach. She creates plans based in a low carb realm. To my knowledge, they are customized between each of her clients, depending on their needs and all of those things, but primarily low carb. So I'm not really having a lot of carbs right now. I do consume some, but I'm not having the traditional grains and like oats that people have, or that other trainers recommend, or nutritionists even. My diet primarily consists of meats, vegetables, and fruits, and the occasional carb, but that's really occasionally. Like, I've been eating oatmeal this week, but I haven't had oatmeal in the past 4 months. You know what I mean? And sometimes I'll have like a granola or sweet potatoes or even black beans occasionally, but definitely not on a regular basis. For the most part, it's meats, vegetables, and fruit. Vegetables among everything is probably the most. I'm having like 2 or 3 cups of vegetables per meal. But yeah, low carb stuff, not to be confused with keto.
When I was in the thick of my weight loss journey the first time around, vegetables was huge for me. Every single meal, vegetables were huge for me. So what is the difference between the diet that you're on now and when you first lost the 60 pounds?
I would say the main difference is well, the first time around, I was eating more carbs. I was having a lot of like whites and brown rices in my dishes traditionally. Not all of them. Maybe like one meal in a spectrum. And back then, I was eating maybe like 5 times a day, but kind of smaller portions. As opposed to now, I'm having pretty normal to on the larger side of meals, but I'm eating 3 times a day. Had vegetables on both sides, but like really, I eat a lot of vegetables now. Like I said, 2 to 3 cups per meal, and I'm having like at least 3 meals a day. So I'm getting a lot of vegetables in. So I was eating vegetables before, but just definitely not as much as I am now. And I was eating smaller meals before.
Okay. Ultimately, I mean, clearly you've lost weight with eating what is seemingly, both ways. What method have you, I don't want to necessarily say enjoyed, but do you think it was easier for you to eat more throughout the day, or eating more but smaller portions, or what you're doing now, eating less but larger portions?
So I think they both have, a lifestyle, and depending on the person, it could work. For me, I would say I prefer how I'm approaching it now. right now I kind of eat in a window. Some would call it intermediate fasting, even though I'm not formally intermediate fasting. It just kind of happens that way. I work from home, and my day is kind of like I work like a mid schedule at my full-time job. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm I'm not eating until after I start working. So I usually don't have my first meal until about noon for the most part. It could be classified as a breakfast, but to me, it's not really a breakfast because I'm not eating at like 8 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, I eat in a window, and I have, a wide span of time when I get the meals in. So it works for my lifestyle. And 3 times is easier for me to maneuver when I have things to do. Even though it's hard, I'll be the first to tell you, I struggle sometimes, like on the weekends when I have activities or something. It can be
Mm-hmm.
a challenge to get all 3 of the meals in. It's really a battle of time. If I eat at a certain time, then I can get all 3 meals in. But if I sleep in or I delay that first meal, it becomes a challenge for me to eat 3 times, especially if I have something to do. But
Mm-hmm.
even with that, ideally, if I plan it right, I can get all 3 meals in all while doing things and being social to a certain extent. So I like how it is now. I definitely like how it is now.
Okay. So we've already confirmed that those different methods of eating, both of them worked. And, overall, the rule of losing weight, you just have to consume less
Hmm.
calories than, um, yes, calories going in versus calories going out.
Hmm.
So why do you think for you, it has been, it works better for you to have a program instead of just eating less calories, just cutting back yourself? Because when you do it that way, I mean, you can go out more and, enjoy, I guess, like, outside just a little bit more. So why do you think being on programs work better for you?
So it's interesting. You learn on these journeys when you really apply yourself. You learn that like discipline is key, right?
Mm-hmm.
And until you understand what discipline really is and why you have to be disciplined, you're not going to be disciplined. And
Right.
so in my in my experience, I didn't know how to be disciplined. And it's like I had these thoughts about what I wanted for myself, but I didn't really know how to do it. I never really grew up around people that were active. I didn't have a lot of athletic people around me in my childhood. I mean, my father really loved riding his bike, but that was kind of his thing. That wasn't a family thing. So
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing my health and like just moving my body and eating better foods, that I didn't learn that. And I don't say that to discredit my parents, but it just wasn't in my reality. So it didn't matter that I wanted to lose weight. Like I needed somebody to tell me how to lose weight. When do I need
Mm-hmm.
to eat? When do I need to prep my food? How many ounces of meat do I consume? Because if you tell me to have chicken, I could have 5 pieces of chicken and think I'm eating healthy, and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like for me, when I really wanted to make a change, I needed a director, or not a director, but I needed a mentor who could give me some direction. I needed a coach. I needed somebody to kind of hold my hand in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning and now, like after stopping, I needed somebody to understand that like I was previously in a place where I was going hard, but I let it go and I'm starting from the bottom again. Like, so it was important for me to have that resource because I knew from my past that I wasn't going to hold myself accountable because I didn't really know how to do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of this journey, I have learned, what is necessary, and that doesn't make it easier to deal with, but I understand what is needed, and I have to hold myself to a certain standard to get what I want. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like having somebody to tell me what to do and give me a blueprint. Oh yeah, I want to use that. I want to use that. I mean, if you take a group of people and you give one of them one group a map and the others are just kind of blind, they got to figure out how to get somewhere without a map. It's going to take them longer. So I just
Right.
look at it like,
That was good. You out here preaching. These great analogies.
that's how I look at it. I look at it like, you know, my coach is my roadmap. Like I still am lost. I still need something to help me get there. And that's what they represent. Now, once I know where I'm going, once I have my direction, I can fall back off of having a trainer. And you know, my trainer and I talk about that all the time. It's like nobody gets a trainer to have a trainer forever, but you want to utilize the resource as long as you can to get where you want to go. And once you feel like you can ride out on your own, then you ride out on your own, and they'll still be paying attention to you because you're partners at that point. But yeah, that's why I wanted one.
Nice. How would you say your feelings and your emotions differ from this time around versus the first time around when you first lost the 60 pounds?
So the main difference for me is the stopping part. You know, the first time around, I was just so eager to get started. And I was excited that I was seeing progress after not ever really remembering myself in a smaller body. I still don't believe that, like, you know, body dysmorphia is a thing. And even though I lost the weight that I did, I still identify as the big girl. I don't know if that'll ever go away. But I just think that at that time, I was just so eager to get started, and I was excited because it was fresh and new. When I put it down, and I didn't realize like the magnitude of what I was doing, when I came back to reality and was like, "What are you doing?" Like I was kind of ashamed of myself to a certain extent, because it's like I have always done this for me. It's never been about like the social media aspect. I love the community that I've cultivated as a result, but it's always been my journey to cross, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, you're making this content, people are inspired by you, and you done put on 60 pounds. How did that happen? Like I shamed myself. And so I was very disappointed. So when I came to and I was like, okay, we're gonna start this again, I had to look at it differently. You know, I literally remember what it feels like to have to call a trainer again. You know what I'm saying? Because when I stopped, in my mind, I was like, it's been 2 years. I think I'm good. I can take a break. And when I'm ready, I'll start back. I'll incorporate the same things I was doing before and I'll be fine. Like, but no, that's not how it went. You know? So it's just like, I kind of have a point to prove to myself that, like, all right, you quit once. You ain't gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying? Because imagine where you would have been had you not stopped. What would you look like? What type of impact would you have had you kept going from that date? But you didn't, and it's fine. We can leave that where it is, reflect on it when we need to, but like, you can't do it again. It's kind of like that fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. How am I gonna shame on me? Like, I learned a lesson, you know? So it's completely different. My goal now is to stay on course. Like, no matter what happens, no matter how far I go from a physical standpoint, I have a lot of life to live, and I have to be willing to prioritize my health forever. Let this be a lifestyle. I'm not saying that you have to be on strict, you know, programs for the rest of your life and you can't establish balance, but you can't even get to the balance part until you've mastered like what you're doing. So I'm locked in, and it's completely different. I just don't want to quit now. Yeah.
Definitely. When you had talked about body dysmorphia, there are some like Apple gives you memories sometimes in your albums, and there are moments, there are pictures and videos that come up where I remember, and this is like when I was at my smallest, I was like hitting like 170, and I remember some of those moments. I was like, oh, look at that pudge. Like in that moment, I was looking in the mirror and I was just like, oh, I could just be flatter. Why could I just have last number? I was like, girl, you were so small.
Right.
You wish you looked like that right now. It's just so funny. COVID is what got me. COVID, even though I knew everything I should have been doing, it was different in a different atmosphere, because that's when I started working from home full time. So I started to be lax, not realizing that I was being lax. And that's when I had gained like 30 pounds. And that's when the shame had hit me. And I was like, oh man, I was like, I'm supposed to be summer body fitness. I was like, I was out here killing it. And now I didn't gain this weight back. But I'm excited too. After this pregnancy, I already have the tools. And like you said, like fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on me. So it's just like, I already know what to do. So I'm ready for it.
Now, but you think after you have this baby, you're going to be able to tap into those tools?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I really do.
Nervous about that? Incorporating parenting into everything?
I'm not nervous yet. I mean, honestly, more than anything, I'm ready. Like, and especially following pages like yours, that it just makes me excited to be like, to go hard. And when I see like your body transformations from the few months ago, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to have that satisfaction again. Like, and it's not just all about what I look like, because I still feel sexy. It's like, it's an accomplishment. It just feels so good, like, and to feel that strength again. So, I mean, this time around, because I've been, out of it for a while, I might feel like I might have to have a trainer, at least to get me going. I didn't have to have one before, but I might need a trainer. But even if I do end up needing one, the excitement is still there. Like, I'm still excited to go hard with it.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I try to tell people on my page, like, there's several elements to doing this and like staying on course and committing. But for me, the biggest thing is just like having fun with it and being excited about it. Like, if you look at getting up, whether it's in the morning or at night, like if you look at exercise as a chore, you're not gonna want to do it unless you're the type of person that enjoys doing chores. You know what I'm saying? But you have to have fun. Like, it has to excite you. Like, if you don't want to be the person in the gym with all the bodybuilders, okay, cool. Like, do you like Pilates? Like, do you like yoga? Do you like hiking? Do you like skating? I just bought some skates. I'm trying to teach myself how to skate just so I can incorporate different elements of, body movement. I want to take a dance class. Like, it's how can you make it fun for you? And that doesn't mean that every single time is going to be, amazing. Like, if your primary method of weight loss is dancing, you may not want to go in there and do them dance moves one day. But it's like, are you having a good time? Because if you are, you'll keep doing it,
Okay, you were talking about like making it fun. And I was about to say that, like, when I first started out, I started out at a gym, Lusso Roberts. That's just, do they have one where you live?
No.
So it's an all women gym. And I was like, oh, this is perfect, because I just didn't want to be worried about like men and feeling insecure. And all I did were their classes. Like, they had Zumba classes, they had Pilates, they had HIIT classes, and that's all I did. I didn't lift no weights. I didn't do nothing but their classes. And then I ended up losing like 30 pounds from doing that. So it's just about, finding methods, like you said, that make it fun.
Yeah. And everybody doesn't have to, like, everybody is not like me where they want to lose like a substantial amount of weight. Somebody could lose 25 pounds and that could change their entire mental, and they could just be empowered to, cater to themselves a little bit more. It doesn't have to be a huge transformation, but in my instance, I'm looking for a certain physique, and I was telling somebody this a couple weeks back, but like, I want to know what life is like on the other side. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've lived 30 plus years as a big girl. I have tons of examples of being a plus size girl. I want to know what it feels like to not be considered plus size. Even if I have body dysmorphia that I have to work on, I still want to experience life in a smaller body. That is a desire of mine. Everybody may not have that desire, but I do. I think life is short, and I have the ability to change it. So what if I was plus size for 30 years of my life, but then the next 50, I'm a smaller size woman? Like, what is my life going to look like? I want to know.
I've
I don't
always
know too
been
about it.
I've always been plus size as well. And when I had lost the 100 pounds, it felt I literally not just well, yes, mainly mentally, just feeling like a completely different person. Like me and my friend, we used to always joke about how we hate when we go into stores and we gotta search around for the for the big people section. And it was like everyone
Right,
knows what you're looking for.
right.
So it was just so weird to not have to do that for a while. So it was exciting. I mean, this next time around, I think I'll probably care less about that particular goal of not
Right.
being plus size. But it was very exhilarating when I was, when I did it. I was
Yeah.
just like, wow, I'm not big. It was a nice feeling, to be honest.
I have this idea of just like going into a boutique. Like, let's say I'm traveling and I want to go to a local boutique. Like, I want to be able to buy a dress in a local area and be able to fit it. Like, as a plus size woman, I can't go to Puerto Rico and get, a dress in a shop. Like,
Yeah.
they're not gonna have my size, and it's just a fact. But if I'm smaller, I might be able to get something. And then when somebody asks me where I got it from, I can be like, oh, I got that when I was on a trip. Like, I want to know what that feels
Mhm.
like.
That's such a small thing, but it's such a life-changing thing.
It's life changing, like life changing. Who gets to say like, and those are the privileges that like some people don't realize, and they have to go through something drastic to like really reflect. But like that is a privilege to be able to go to any destination. Now, granted, everybody has different body types. It might not fit you the way that it fits like a size zero or something. But at the same time, it's like having the ability to do that is so dope. Like, imagine
Mhm.
how much you enjoy travel. If you enjoy shopping and you're traveling and you buy a piece and it's associated with the country you went to, like that's an
Yeah.
experience that I would never have in my big body right now, So
Mhm.
those are the things, I don't want limitations when it comes to my weight. That's ultimately what it boils down to for me. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I want to be able to go on a vacation and do an excursion and not be restricted by my weight. Like zip
Mhm.
lining, you have to be a certain weight to zip line. If I travel to Colombia and I want to zip line with my friends, how embarrassing for me, and this is just me, but like I would be embarrassed to like climb up a mountain to get there for them to be like, so you're over the weight limit and we don't want these cords to break. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
live that life. I don't want
Yeah.
that for myself.
Very true. And while we're talking about life, I want to get a little bit deeper with you.
Okay.
In your content, you talked about feeling lonely, and you've talked about wanting to date. So, do you feel like your weight or your weight loss journey has had any effect on your dating life and
Yes,
those feelings of
yes, and
loneliness?
yes. All of the above. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I think that my weight has contributed to my dating life on a positive note and a negative note. Honestly, the negative, I'll start with that. We're just going to get that out of the way. um,
Mm-hmm.
my weight has been tied to a lot of my insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've looked the same since I was a child. I've had the exact same face, but through the years and various pounds, your facial shape changes. Your posture changes, like things that you may not be conscious of, they change as a result of your weight. So it's like for me, I didn't like how I looked a lot of the times, and I would compare myself to other women, smaller women, and kind of wish that I could be smaller. And so that girl in a dating scenario doesn't like breed a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? Like that girl subjects herself to whoever is interested, And so I think that as a result of my insecurities, the partners that I would hang out with weren't really good dudes, and it took me thinking about my health in a different way to realize, what I really wanted and what I felt I deserved. And so with transitioning into the positive approach, it's like as a result of doing these things, I now have a better view of myself and what I want from a potential partner. So I don't necessarily think that my physical size would get in the way of me having a healthy relationship. But I absolutely believe that me being heavy affected my ability to like exist in a healthy relationship, if that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah.
That is, that's huge, being able to have the mindset that what you want, you deserve, right? And not shrinking yourself, spiritually, mentally, your desires based on, your physical appearance, and really having, thinking like, okay, instead of feeling like, let me just take this because I probably can't get anything better, saying like, no, I can get something better and I'm going to wait for it. That was a huge shift for me too. Huge. Yeah. And it makes you feel so much better about yourself, understanding, having a standard and having the confidence to live up to that standard. You know what I mean?
And another thing, I feel like even though I had insecurities, I always projected confidence. Like, and I intentionally use the word projected because I was not confident, and even in, later years of my life, I still wasn't confident, but I knew how to project it. Now I feel like I'm gaining like real confidence, like it's crazy how everything is connected, everything is connected to wellness. And so it's like the more I work on myself, the better I feel, the more responsive I am to myself. I listen to myself. And all that is confidence. Like, like you ever had a math equation, parenthesis, the numbers equal something, like all of this stuff, like the clean eating, the exercise, the meditation, the reading, like, seeing your body change, all of that heightens, your confidence and your love for self. So yeah, it's crazy how, it just all happens. And I think that's why the wellness space is such a big industry, because anyone who's been on a journey like this, I mean, if they enjoy it, if they hate it, then no. But like if they enjoy it, it's like reach one, teach one. Like I want you to tap into who you can really be, and it's not just losing weight, it's not just gaining weight, but like when you learn how to discipline yourself, then you learn how to tell yourself no, then you can really look at the world and be like, is that for me? Or if not, I should chill. If you're just living in impulses, you have no idea like what your life's gonna look like. You literally are just you're following a bouncing ball. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this teaches you everything. And so it's not easy though. Like that's anybody who follows me can attest to this. Literally, I will tell anyone that it is hard and I struggle. And I come on my page and I tell my people I'm struggling. It's hard. But the fact of the matter is it helps when you stay on course, and you're gonna have leaps and valleys like all the time. So it's just like, dude, you just be feeling so good when you push through, like if you go through something and then you ride that wave and you come up out of it and you're excited, or like you have some energy, it's just like, dang, I survived that. Okay, bet. I could take a little more.
Absolutely. You kind of answered the next question, because you talked about how everything is connected. And like when you go through this journey, you start to see like other stuff that's really for you. And the next question was just about like, how do you feel outside of dating? What other specific areas do you feel like the concept of weight and body image has affected you? I know that for me, 100% it's affected me, how I show up in rooms, how I speak to people, things that I wanted to do. I just didn't want to be at the forefront because I feel like they're judging me, my weight, like they won't like me enough, even though I cared less about people's weight. Like if someone big had went up and said a
Same.
great speech, I'm not thinking about their bigness, but for whatever reason, I felt like everybody was thinking about mine.
Right.
So
Same.
100%, I used to call myself really shy, and and now that I look back, I don't think that I was shy. I just think that my weight and how I looked at myself was, I guess, kind of like smothering who I really was. So do you
Mhm.
have other specific examples or areas in your life that you feel like the concept of weight or body image has affected you?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I can echo a lot of the things that you said. One isolated moment that's sticking out to me. um, I played softball in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally played for like 2 years, but I was one of the only black girls, number one, and then I was kind of on the bigger side. So even though when I look back at pictures of me in high school, I wasn't even big. I'll take that body like right now. But in any case, I just knew that I was huge back then. But with that said, they had me like playing a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
And I I remember like I don't remember like exactly what I said to myself, but I remember having like a total meltdown. Um, because I'm like, they would put the big girl in the catcher position.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I mean, you're a child, you don't really know what you're thinking, but I remember that moment. And it's just like, well, if I was big, would they put me in that position? Like that, like right
Mm-hmm.
now, that don't even make sense because it's like you could have been the best person for that position and it had nothing to do with your weight. But in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, yeah, but I gotta squat down and I gotta like I gotta get up quick and be able to throw the ball super far. I'm big. Like, are you guys accounting for that? Like, I had a whole meltdown and
Mm-hmm.
I remember having moments like that, like with my weight. It's like I was always very hard on myself and just um, attributed it to my weight. Like nothing else was really the issue. It was the fact that I was fat.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy how our mind works. And to really, I should be in therapy for it just to make sure, I'm uncovering these feelings. But no, that's a real thing. That's a real mind process. Like just how your body, like how you said, it's all connected and
Everything.
not even realizing it, how connected it is.
It's crazy. I'm just grateful that you know I pushed on and I'm in a better mental space now, and I can do just like work diligently to stay on course so that I don't have to put myself through that anymore. I still have a lot of life to live, and if I get these, I learn these things for myself, then I don't have to go into a new life like just shaming myself and just being so hard on
Hmm.
myself.
Right. I had in the beginning I talked about what had drew me to your page and like keeps me coming back is how transparent that you are. And you've had a lot of stories where you're having your moments, the angry moments or the agitated, and then you have like the happy moments and the excited, the go-getter moments. So how do you feel right now in this process? What are your emotions looking like?
You mean like with where I'm at on the in my journey, or just like
Yeah, where you at in your journey?
so I honestly I feel like I experience, different emotions regularly. I don't know if that's
Mhm.
healthy or not, but I feel like I experience them all. There are moments where I'm uber excited, and I'm confident. And I'm just like, I enjoy what I'm doing. And then I have other moments where I'm just like, this is a really vulnerable piece of me. And do I want to share it? But then
Mhm.
I remember I don't, I'm not a good liar. I'll be honest with you. This is why I'm transparent as I am, because I'm not a good
Mhm.
liar and I have a horrible memory. So I can't be out here telling a story and not remembering the story. I just got to be honest, and I have to, depend on my honesty. Whatever, whoever you get is who I am in that moment. That way I don't got to worry about who I told this, who I told that. Do they know that I'm 285, but I told them that I was 240? Like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, when I have a moment and I'm excited about losing weight, I want to be able to show me on that scale. I don't want to have to like manipulate a number, Photoshop a number, and all this other stuff
Mhm.
just so I could be like, look, guys, I lost 50 pounds. Like, no, I want you to see me when I lose the 50 pounds, and I'm probably going to cry about it because I'm ecstatic about how far I've come. Like when I get back, number one, when I hit that 60 again, and I know that I put on 60, I'm gonna have a whole breakdown. When I hit various milestones, I have this number in my mind, 220. So when I see 220, that's gonna mean something to me. Like,
Yeah.
I can't have those moments if I'm not being transparent. Like if there are things that I really don't want to share, I won't share them. But there aren't that many things that I'm willing to hold on to because I just want to be authentic. I want to be, me. Like, I'm doing all this work to love on myself. I can't I don't want to not be myself. So
Mhm.
yeah, I genuinely I feel all the emotions and I try my best to showcase them, within reason. I have evolved over the years, and so there are certain things that I don't necessarily want to do on the internet anymore. Like at one point in my life, like I would be the girl to like party online. Like that was
Mhm.
I would be that girl to be like, like I have no
Mhm.
desire to do that anymore. Like I'll still hang out with my friends. I'm still down to hang, but like I'm not trying to be drunk on the internet. Like not in my late 30s. I don't want that in the world anymore. Now, if you go through the hassle of finding something from 3 years ago, by all means have it. It is what it is. That's who I was then. But like that would be an example of something that I don't necessarily want to show. But I do not want to hide myself. I want to be authentic. And I honestly feel like when I take a look at other like influencers and even people that have brand deals, a lot of the people that are from my point of view, because it's you only know what you know, but from what I can see, the common thread, and this is from like big business people and like many are micro influencers. It's like it's the authenticity, it's the vulnerability, it's being willing to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about.
Mhm.
Going back to the analogy about being debt free, I'm sure the person that started documenting themselves getting out of debt was nervous about showing how bad it had gotten, but they had to be willing to show it. Like they had to be willing to be like, listen, my account is in the negative right now. I don't know how I'm about to pay this bill. And
Mhm.
I don't want to pay these credit card bills no more. I am underneath. Like they had to be able to express that because the person that was living that life, they saw that. And
Mhm.
now they have been watching you, and they now see you're no longer in debt. Oh God, you're talking about making money online. You're selling master classes and stuff. And I remember when you didn't have anything. Like you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be willing to be vulnerable within your comfort level. So yeah, I'm gonna give, if you follow me, for your viewers and listeners, if you don't follow me and you follow me, you're gonna get a real person. And if you ever meet me in real life, who you see on the internet is who you're gonna see in real life, because I don't turn one up higher and reduce another one. I feel like I am the same. They're all pieces of me.
Yes, and I love it. You had said how, how you go through a lot of emotions and you don't know whether that's like necessarily good or bad. But the key is you kept going through those low emotions. And that's where a lot of people, especially in this journey where they fall off and they give up because they go through a low moment or, their weight has plateaued and it's just like, they'd be like, forget it. But it's just the key is just getting past that moment. If you could just get past those moments, like it's okay to have them and acknowledge them, but you just got to get past the moments. And I promise you it'll work out. But that's where a lot of people fall off. As soon as they have a low feeling in this journey or frustration, or just like, I remember seeing pieces of your content where you're just like, I just don't feel like eating this. Like, I don't feel like doing this. Like, I want to go do hookah and eat wings. I think you had said once, but it's just like, it's just a moment, just that one moment. And I promise you, I remember I used to have to take it when I was like really trying to be disciplined, like literally moment by moment, like second by second. And it would just be like, Summer, you just ate, you're not hungry, just say no. And I would have to like just take it minute by minute. If you would just get past it, then it's in the past. And it's like it's a mind thing. It really is.
It really is. And just like you said, you just got to get past it. It's kind of like, I'm a crier, okay? When I cry, I feel better. Like, it doesn't matter how sad I am. Like, there might be moments where I really am sad and I am grieving something. But even if it's for 5 minutes, that release, I feel better. Like, a calmness comes over me for a second and I can have a moment of clarity. I literally was just crying. And in the moment when I was crying, I did not feel good. So it's like, it's not, trouble don't last always, period. And it's just like, if you can push, if you can, because I'm not telling you to do something you can't do. If you don't have it in you, you don't have it in you. That's another reason I stress, like, be honest with yourself on, my platforms. But it's like, if you have it in you and you can get through, dude, you don't even know what's on the other side. and now I'm preaching again, but like, you don't even know what's on the other side. I had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine today, and she just was like, listen, shout out to you if you're still in here, because I told you I'm live over here, but she said to me, if that door is closing, many more are about to open. It's just a fact. You are moving, you are walking right now. And if that door closes, that door closes. But it's gonna be some more that open up, because you're not gonna sit in the dark forever. So it's just like, if you could push through, it's worth it. It's worth it. That's why I don't want to quit.
Absolutely, 100%. I going back about your content, you had posted back in April. Well, it's still April. On April 3rd, you had talked about you were in a video in a bathing suit. And part of your caption was, I have a long road ahead, but I'm grateful for the surrender. So can you explain a little bit more? What do you mean by that surrender? And how does that surrender look like in your life and actions?
Dude, okay, so first of all, the word surrender in my life is like major right now in so many ways. I have a conversation with myself frequently just about relinquishing control. I am a believer, and I pray to a God, and I have been challenging myself to really trust my creator. You can only trust if you let it go. Like, you can't hold on to it if you're going to trust somebody to do it, or trust that something better will come. So that word surrender in my life really means like relinquishing control of like everything. You can't control it Okay. You cannot control it. And the sooner you come to that realization, the sooner you can just flow. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just exhale. Like you can only hold your breath so long. You gotta let the air out. And so I'm grateful for the surrender because while it's not easy, caveat, I'm grateful for the surrender because I know that with time, uh, things will flow as they're going to. And all the stressing that I'm doing about how it's going to happen, it doesn't even matter. It won't matter then because it will be in the now. It won't be, it won't be a thought. It'll be in the now. And I can hopefully come to that recollection in that moment and take that in. But you just cannot control everything. Some things are truly out of your control, and you have to relinquish that notion so that you can just flow. So yeah, that's what the surrender means for me. And like I said, I am being called to surrender in so many areas of my life right now. So much so that it can be a little exhausting because it's like, dang, like I can't have control in that. Like I gotta get at that too. And it's just like I don't got nothing. I mean, at this point, what am I can't even hold on to it to relinquish the surrender. Like it ain't mine. It ain't mine to have. And I really don't know what's gonna happen at all. So, that's why you gotta stay tuned because it's gonna be a surprise to me when it happens to you. But like it's just being able to just truly let it go and just flow with it is the goal for me.
Mm-hmm. You talked about being a believer, and God's word just says to like cast his care on him, cast your burdens on him. And the beauty of that, while it's part of it, I can understand feeling like anxiety and some fear in there because it's just like, oh, I don't have my hand on it like I want it. But the beauty is like when you're a believer and you understand that how holy God is and how powerful he is, there's no steering you wrong. Like that's the beauty of surrender. It's like when I give him my all, I mean, I can't mess up. I mean, when I had my hand in it, because of my flesh, because of sin or, a multitude of things, I make bad decisions, my mind, whatever, my poor decisions, there's so much room for error. But when you fully surrender and it's just like, all right, whatever happens, happens, this door is going to close because like how your friend said, another door has to open. That's just the reality of God. Is like, all things are working together for the good who loves him. Like, that's just what it is. And that's the beautiful part of surrender. Just understanding that it has to work out for your good.
Has to. Have you ever noticed that when you really give it to God, the things that you were stressing about, they ain't even no issues. Kind of like, all right, well, if that happened, I know I'm gonna call this person. And depending on how they respond, we're gonna figure out the next step. And it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Or it's like when you even if we remove, I don't want to remove God, but just to be considerate of all your viewers, like even if you look at it from like telling a lie, like when you lie, you gotta think. You gotta think about that thing. You gotta remember that thing. The moment you tell the truth, you ain't gotta stress. It's out there. Respond how you want to respond. Do what you gonna do as a result of my truth, but it's my truth. Like, it's mine. So it's like you just feel so relieved when you really let it go. And that is not an easy thing to do, especially when you're expecting God for a lot of things in your life. But when you do let it go, like I find myself at peace when I really relinquish it.
Absolutely, 100%. And I know that for me, with the weight loss journey, I couldn't do it by myself. Like the surrender part, the dedication part, for me, it had to take like a supernatural assistance to be like, especially for someone who's been obese for years you get a mindset that just like, I can't be different than what I am right now. Like it literally feels impossible. Like, even though I've done it and now it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. In the moment, it literally feels impossible. And I know so many people feel that way. But 100%, if I didn't have my belief in God, if I didn't have that supernatural strength to be like, to give me hope that what I'm doing is not in vain, that those low moments that I was having were just a moment. It was just a feeling. Like there was, I don't know, I honestly don't know how I could have done it if I didn't have just that, like I said, that supernatural power kind of pushing me along.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting about what you just said is like I echo it 100%. But I think it's interesting in certain moments. I didn't always feel like it was God. I felt like it was me. Like I felt like it was my work ethic. You know, I felt like it was my drive and my ambition. But as I get older and become wiser, I realize, nah, that wasn't you, sis. Because I see you procrastinate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I see you say, Ashley, ain't no way that was you. Ain't no way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, that was God. Even when I was selfish and I didn't think that it was him and I didn't give him the credit, it was because I have so now granted my awareness is it comes in waves. I'm not perfect, but like I have moments of awareness where I know that would not be a move for me at
Mm-hmm.
all. Like I would be kicking and screaming even now. So how is it? How is it that I did it then? How? So
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, he's always with us even when we don't think he's with us.
Yes. Amen.
Amen.
So we're going to close out soon, but for this last question, if you could leave just 3 tips for someone who is wanting to start their weight loss journey or is currently in it and are struggling, what are 3 tips that you would leave them with?
So for the person that's struggling, I would say really, really tap into your why.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one point you wanted it and you wanted it bad, right? You got fed up with yourself and you were like, enough is enough. For whatever reason, you don't feel that way now. It's still in you. It's still there. You might have to do some work to get there, and that's where it gets hard. You know, it might be as simple as praying. It might be as simple, and I say simple in the context of what I'm saying because it's not simple, but
Mm-hmm.
it could be going outside. It could be calling a friend. It could be being vulnerable with a family member. But figure out why you wanted to do it or rediscover why you wanted to do something, because when you have that moment of reflection and you really tap into those emotions, you'll be right back where you were. You're the same person. I mean, we get better. We don't necessarily get worse. I mean, there are instances where people kind of downslide, but that's usually related to something. That's not on the context of just like I'm just getting worse to get worse. We generally get better. So I believe that if you started, you can discover why you wanted to start in the first place. So that would be one tip. For the person that hasn't started, I would say, and this is similar to the other person, but like, you got to be honest with yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that is the first thing. For me, I was embarrassed that I was in the 26. I was so embarrassed with myself and I didn't want to experience that. The emotions that I felt in that moment were enough to get me on track to call somebody. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was going to call somebody. And so I had to be honest with myself at that time and act. If I would have let time fester in those emotions, I maybe wouldn't have called the person that I called. So you got to be honest with yourself, and it takes looking in the mirror. It takes feeling those feelings. Like You have to start there. If you don't feel like you have a problem, then you're probably not going to have the results that you want. Because everyone who has been through something and like overcame it, they had a problem. And problems look different to each person. But if you have the desire, if listening to this recording or watching this recording is inspiring you or trickling up something in you, act now, like do something now. And just this would actually transition into my next tip. Find what works for you and don't rush yourself. You know, like people, and I'm guilty of this as well, but people will sometimes not realize the damage that they've done. And then they'll be like, oh my God, I have this awareness and I don't want to be like this anymore. So I just want all this weight up off of me. Or, you know, if we're doing about the debt, like I just want all my debt gone. But it's like, it took you 15 years to rack up $20,000 worth of debt. You think it's going to get paid off with one bonus at the job? Like, it's not going to happen. This is something that you're going to have to work at. So it's like, find what works for you and give yourself the grace to discover it. You know, like in my case, I fell into wellness and I actually liked it. You know, I didn't have to veer off and like try to strip training thing and then do the Pilates thing and then do HIIT classes or aerobics classes, swim classes. I didn't have to do that because I got in the gym. I started lifting weights. I started seeing my body change and I was locked in. I was excited, you know? So much so that like I would see people at the gym and it becomes a community. It's like, especially if you're going to an actual gym, you see the same people in the morning. And before you know it, you're talking to them, you know the name, you in the locker room with them, they helping you tie up, you know, your bra or something. Like it's just like you create this rapport with people. And so it's just like I enjoyed it. So I fell into this, but that may not be your story. You might love playing volleyball. You know, you might love rock climbing. You might love to go on hikes. It's just find what works for you and then keep doing that and have fun with it. So yeah, find your why, you know, act as soon as you have that emotion if this is something that you're trying to do for the first time. And the last tip I would say is just going back to the surrender, like relinquish the control. You know, we understand that you want it. And when I say we, I mean me, because this is for me too. But like, we understand that you want this and you're just like, you're ramped up about wanting it, but it's not a quick process. And if it was a quick process, more people would be at their goal weight.
Exactly.
But they're not. It could take someone 5 years to learn something, you know, and that doesn't mean it's going to take you 5 years. But what it does mean is if it does take 5 years, you got to be okay with that because you are who you are. You move how you move. You learn how you learn. If you get the lesson on day one and you never fall, then you're going to get there quick. But you are not going to be in the majorities. Another person could take that same lesson book and fail 4 times. They still gonna make it, they still gonna get there, you know, and you might be on to something else by the time they get there, but they're still gonna get there and you still can get there. So if you just jump in and relinquish some control and just focus on having fun, focus on doing things that you enjoy, focus on like, you know, just making it an enjoyable process for yourself, you're less likely to stop. You're gonna inspire people by default. I mean, this was never my goal. Like I literally was just I mean, I love social media and I'm a talker. So for me, whether people were inspired or not, I was going to be talking online about it because I'm an only child. I talk to myself. And whenever I had conversations with people, you know, I would receive some energy from them. So in my mind, it's like, just because you're not in front of me doesn't mean I can't have a conversation with somebody. Somebody's watching because I'm getting DMs. I'm getting comments. They're saying they understand me. And I'm like, okay, cool, you feeling me, so I'm gonna keep posting. And then before you know it, I started having fun and I started getting responses from people and I loved that. And it became what it is now. And it's super dope now. But Yeah, I didn't know none of this was coming. So you gotta be able to relinquish that control and just have fun with it.
I love it.
No, this is a
Thank you,
wild conversation.
Minister Kristina. No, I'm joking.
I
She's gonna
cannot
be.
wait to listen to this back. This is gonna be so good.
No, this was great. You had so many points where in my head I was just like, yes, amen, yes, amen. It was so good. And you articulated yourself so well, your emotions, but I knew you would. So thank you so much for
Sure.
joining us.
This
Tell
was
the
so
people
fun.
where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I have a personal page and a fitness page. The fitness page, as she mentioned earlier, is K Blake Gets Fit, no spaces, all one word. KBLAKE GETE or Gets GETSFIT. K Blake Gets Fit. Personal Instagram is I am K Blake, no spaces. IAMKBLAKE. And I also have a TikTok, but TikTok is not really centered around wellness too much. I basically just post things that I mean, I'm focused on self-development in every aspect of my life. So there are elements of that on my TikTok, but it's more so just like kind of everyday life, what I'm feeling, challenges that I have mentally that I just want to get off my mind. But yeah, you can find me on TikTok at I am K Blake as well.
Nice. In case you guys missed it, I'm gonna put all of her contacts in the comment section, okay?
Okay.
But thank you everybody for tuning in. And that's a
Summer, this
wrap.
is
Until next time.
amazing. I had
Bye,
so much
everybody.
fun. Bye, guys.